The year was 1995. Down a quiet, tree-lined street in Portland, Oregon, an elderly man named George put up a handmade sign in his front yard. It read, "Free coffee and conversation. Come sit a while." George was 82, a retired carpenter, and recently widowed. After 50 years of marriage, the silence in his house had become a heavy, physical presence. Instead of letting the loneliness consume him, George decided to build a bridge to the outside world. He set up 2 mismatched lawn chairs, a small wooden table he had crafted himself, and a metal thermos of black coffee on his porch. At first, people just hurried past. In a busy, modern America, a stranger offering free coffee looked suspicious. Commuters stared from their car windows, and joggers glanced over nervously. But George just sat there, reading his newspaper, pouring a fresh cup for an empty chair. Then, on a rainy Tuesday, a young woman named Sarah stopped. She was 24, overwhelmed by a new city, a stressful corporate job, and a recent breakup. Stranded without an umbrella, she caught George's eye. He smiled and pointed to the covered porch. "The coffee is hot, and the company is harmless," George called out. Sarah hesitated, then walked up the steps. That morning, she didn't talk about her resume or her stress. She talked about how much she missed her hometown. George listened. He didn't offer unsolicited advice. He just gave her his full, undivided attention. When she left 30 minutes later, the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. Sarah became a regular. Then, she brought a coworker. Word began to spread through the neighborhood. Within a year, George's porch became a local landmark. The 2 lawn chairs grew into a full patio set, donated by a neighbor. People from all walks of life started stopping by. Mechanics, lawyers, college students, and exhausted parents. They came for the free coffee, but they stayed because, in a world that was rapidly moving online, George's porch was a sanctuary of genuine human connection. For over a decade, George sat on that porch. He witnessed engagements, comforted people through grief, and celebrated job promotions. He became the grandfather of the neighborhood. When George passed away peacefully in his sleep in 2006, the neighborhood felt a profound loss. On the day of his memorial, the community didn't gather at a funeral home. Instead, hundreds of people lined his street. They brought their own mugs, filled the sidewalk, and shared stories of the man who had listened to them. Today, a small bronze plaque sits near that Portland sidewalk, paid for by the neighborhood. It marks the spot where an ordinary man proved a beautiful truth about the American spirit. You don't need wealth or fame to change the world. Sometimes, all it takes is a hot pot of coffee, an open heart, and the willingness to listen.
সগিদুম নাজেছি তার মন্দা তোর মনেছে নিয়া